My wife married me for a green card. I thought it was love, but then I read her chat. Just a few more months and I'm done. I found another message. He'll never see it coming. I reported her to immigration and exposed everything. My name is Ethan Blake. I'm 36-year-old. I met my wife, Sylvia, at a coffee shop in Queens, New York. She was stunning, with bright green eyes and this magnetic laugh that made the room warmer. We talked about books, travel, and what it felt like to be lost in a city that never really feels like home. I was 33, working 2 jobs and finishing my degree, trying to rebuild my life after my parents' divorce shattered me from the inside. Sylvia was a transfer student from Canada, or so she claimed, doing a nursing program, and said she wanted to stay in the US long term. At the time, I had no idea she was lying to me from the very beginning. We dated for almost a year. She was everything I thought I wanted. Sweet, supportive, always reminding me how proud she was of my work ethic. When she cried in my arms one night, saying her student visa was expiring and she might have to leave the country, I made the decision that I thought was love. I proposed to her right there in our tiny kitchen, under dim lights and leftover pasta on the stove. She cried, said yes, and hugged me like I was her savior. But in reality, I was just a bridge to her real destination. The wedding was simple, just close friends and my little sister, Emily, who was suspicious of Sylvia from day one. She doesn't love you, she warned me in private. Something about her feels calculated. I brushed it off as jealousy, or maybe her being overprotective. I wanted to believe Sylvia loved me. I needed to believe it. We moved into a small 1-bedroom apartment in Astoria after the wedding, barely big enough for 2 people, but it felt like ours. I gave up one of my jobs so I could focus more on finishing my degree. Sylvia started working at a nearby clinic as part of her practicum, and every night she'd come home with stories, patients who reminded her of home, long shifts, co-workers who were difficult, sweet, or sometimes both. I listened. I always listened. I cooked us dinner, washed her scrubs, rubbed her feet when she said they ached. I wanted to be everything for her because I thought she saw something in me that no one else ever had. But slowly, things began to shift. At first, it was little things. Her phone, always on silent, her sudden need for space, for me time, as she called it. I'd come home early from class and find her flustered, tossing her phone face down on the couch. She started wearing makeup to the grocery store, dressing up just to go for a walk. Still, I tried to silence the thoughts growing in my mind. I told myself I was insecure. Maybe it was just me being paranoid after everything I'd been through with my parents. Things really changed so fast after 2 months we got married. Sylvia became very distant. The girl who used to cook with me, dance barefoot in the living room, and beg for road trips suddenly had study groups and night shifts that kept her away for hours. Her phone was always on silent. She'd hide in the bathroom to take calls. When I confronted her, she told me I was being paranoid and insecure, and somehow, I believed her again. Then, on our 6-month anniversary, I planned a small dinner at home. I decorated the apartment with candles and framed our wedding photo, her laughing in that simple white dress, me holding her hand like it was a lifeline. She didn't come home until nearly midnight. No explanation, just a tired sigh and a weak excuse about the clinic needing her late. She didn't notice the candles. She didn't even kiss me goodnight. My sister, Emily, saw the cracks before I did. She came over one afternoon when Sylvia was out and found me sitting on the floor, surrounded by unopened letters from USIS and bills I didn't remember signing up for. "You're drowning," Emily said quietly, "and she's watching you sink." That night, I opened Sylvia's laptop while she showered. I know it wasn't right, but something in me, maybe instinct, maybe desperation, needed answers. Her email was still open. What I found made my stomach twist into a cold knot I'll never forget. Messages from a man named Aaron, photos, travel plans. Even a screenshot of our marriage certificate, forwarded with the subject line, "Just a few more months, and I'm done." I didn't say anything that night. I crawled into bed beside her like everything was normal, my heart pounding like a war drum. She curled into me, kissed my neck, and whispered, "I love you," like it meant something. The next day, I took off from school and followed her. Not just in the movies, real life following. I trailed behind her through the city, watched her meet Aaron near Bryant Park. They hugged like lovers, kissed like strangers who'd waited too long. And me? I just stood there, across the street, invisible. Her husband, her stepping stone, her fool. I didn't confront her right away. I let the truth simmer, boil beneath my skin. I started documenting everything, emails, texts, screenshots, even voice recordings. I talked to a lawyer quietly, carefully. Because if Sylvia thought I was still the naive, heartbroken man who fell for her in a coffee shop, she was wrong. I was becoming someone else. Someone who wasn't going to let her walk away clean. And Emily? She was the only one I trusted. The only one who knew. She helped me dig, helped me uncover more lies than I ever expected. Turns out, Sylvia wasn't even her real name. Her real name was Olivia Ann Wexler. Born in Toronto, yes, but not a nursing student, not even close. She had dropped out of community college 3 years ago, had a minor criminal record back home for identity fraud, and was flagged once at the US border for using fake documents. I found this out through a private investigator Emily connected me with, one of her old college friends who owed her a favor. It felt like I was peeling back layers of a person who never really existed. Sylvia, Olivia, was a ghost wrapped in charm, lies, and just enough truth to pass as real. I started noticing how rehearsed her stories had always been. The way she avoided details when talking about her family, her past. Even the photo she once showed me of her younger brother at graduation. It had a watermark when I zoomed in. A stock image. I had been living with a character, sleeping beside a stranger. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. I wanted her to feel safe, secure, loved. I played the same role she thought she'd locked me into. Faithful husband, blind protector, and the more I played it, the more careless she became. 3 months after she got her green card, I came home early from work. I walked into our bedroom and found her on a video call, in lingerie, blowing kisses to the man Aaron. I didn't say a word, I just stood there, my heart pounding, my face frozen, watching the love of my life call another man baby. When she noticed me, she gasped, closed her laptop, and had the audacity to say, "It's not what you think." But it was exactly what I thought. She said he was just a friend and they were only playing a game. I looked at her, nodded slowly, and walked silently past her. Into the sitting room. One night, she forgot to log out of her WhatsApp on my laptop. A message popped up while I was working on a school paper. "Aaron, tickets are booked, I'll meet you at JFK. After this, we're gone, he'll never see it coming." That was the final push. I reached out to immigration, quietly filed a report with the fraud unit. They told me to keep playing along to document everything, so I did. For weeks, I smiled, cooked her meals, laughed when she told me lies, and even made love to her with a pit in my stomach. I became a man split in two, one part broken, the other part sharpening like a knife. The final act began to write itself. Our 1-year wedding anniversary was coming up, and she suggested a dinner out, her treat. "We deserve to celebrate," she said, flashing that same disarming smile. "You've been so good to me." I agreed, but I had my own plans. I invited Emily, the investigator, and a few friends from the neighborhood who'd seen things, heard things. I booked a private room at the restaurant, told Sylvia I wanted it to be a surprise evening just for her. She walked in wearing that red silk dress I once said I loved, lipstick too bright, smelling like expensive perfume I never bought her. She looked around the room and froze when she saw the familiar faces. Her smile faded, eyes darting toward the door. But before she could make a move, an agent from immigration walked in and sat down across from her. Calm, collected. "Olivia Ann Wexler," he said, sliding a document toward her. "We need to talk about your marriage and your exit plans with Mr. Aaron Collins." She went pale, her lips trembled. And for the first time since I met her, Sylvia, or should I call her Olivia, was speechless. But I wasn't. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on the table. "You used me," I said, voice steady. "But you underestimated me. I don't break easy, not anymore." She tried to deny it, tried to cry. But no one moved, no one cared. Her lies had run out of air. Still, that wasn't the part that hurt the most because later that night, after it all, after she'd been taken away for questioning, I opened the box she left behind in our closet, tucked beneath a stack of fake papers. I found something I wasn't prepared for, a journal. A real one, her handwriting, her thoughts, her doubts, and on one torn page, dated 3 months before our anniversary, it read, "I think I'm starting to love him and that scares me more than anything else I've ever faked." I read that line over and over, hands trembling, unsure whether to believe it or rip the page apart. I think I'm starting to love him. What was that? A lie she told herself to survive? A moment of guilt? Or had something real, something fragile and broken, grown between the cracks of her manipulation? I didn't know, and worse, I hated that I still wanted to believe her, that some part of me hoped she meant it, that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't just another pawn on her way to freedom. But reality doesn't care about your hopes. A week later, I was subpoenaed. She had named me in her statement, claimed our relationship was real, claimed she loved me, claimed I had turned cold, that I had sabotaged our marriage out of jealousy and resentment. She even said I threatened her when she wanted to leave. She was trying to flip the script. Her lawyer reached out for a mediation meeting. I almost didn't go, but Emily insisted. "You deserve to hear it. Whatever it is, on your terms." So I showed up, tie knotted too tight, palms sweating like a man going into war. Sylvia sat across from me, still dressed like the woman I fell in love with, but her eyes, they weren't the same. The light in them was gone, or maybe I'd just never seen the truth behind them. She didn't speak first, her lawyer did, talked about misunderstanding, culture shock, emotional miscommunication. Tried to reframe the entire relationship as something doomed from the start, but not malicious. "Sylvia," he said, "only wanted stability, and she thought she found that in your client." But then she finally spoke. "I didn't plan to fall for you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "At first, yes, I needed someone. I was scared, desperate. But you were kind and real, and I hated myself for what I was doing, but I couldn't stop. Every day I woke up in your arms. It got harder to leave, so I tried to turn it into something real." I looked at her, stunned. Not because I believed her, because I didn't, not anymore. But because she knew exactly which words might have worked on the man I used to be. "You're a hell of a performer," I said, quietly. "But the show's over and I'm not your audience anymore." The court date was set for 2 months later. By then, Aaron had disappeared. His name was fake too. He was already gone. Probably in another country. She was alone now. The story she thought she was writing, new life, green card, perfect escape, had crumbled in her hands. I testified, calm, direct. I showed the screenshots, emails, fake names, journal entries, and when the judge asked why I had stayed silent for so long, I said the truth. Because I wanted it to be love. I needed it to be, and because part of me was still the broken kid watching his parents fall apart, thinking maybe this time, someone would stay. Sylvia was ordered to be deported, not immediately. There was an appeal process, but it was a countdown. A slow, painful ending to a story that should have never started. A few days before she was taken into custody, she sent me a letter, no return address, no phone number. Just 10 handwritten pages and a photograph, us on our wedding day, her head resting on my shoulder, eyes closed like she believed in the future we were pretending to build. In the letter, she wrote, "You'll hate me forever. I deserve that. But for what it's worth, I didn't lie about everything. You made me feel human again, even if I never deserved you." I haven't replied. I don't think I ever will. But sometimes, when I walk past that old coffee shop in Queens, the one where we first met, I stop for a moment. I sit by the window where her laugh changed everything, and I remember that for a brief, blinding moment, I believed in something that wasn't real, and somehow, that's the part that still hurts the most. 3 years have passed. I graduated with honors, finally got the degree I once thought I'd never finish. I now work full-time at a community health nonprofit in Brooklyn, helping immigrants navigate the same complicated systems that nearly drowned me. Funny how life twists you into the very person you once needed. Emily got married last year. I gave a toast at her wedding. People said it was heartfelt and honest, but only she knew how much weight was behind the words when I said, "Sometimes love doesn't save us, it teaches us how to save ourselves." I haven't heard from Sylvia since that letter. I never looked her up, never checked if her appeal went through or if she made it back to Canada. I left that part of my life behind like a house I once lived in that burned down. Some doors you don't go back to. Some people you only survive once. But I did keep one thing, that photograph from our wedding day, not because I miss her, not because I still believe in us, but because it reminds me of who I used to be, the man who loved fully, blindly, with everything he had, even when he had nothing to give. And now, when I walk through Queens or hear a stranger laugh like she used to, I don't flinch. I don't look back. I just smile quietly to myself and keep walking, because she was the storm that almost broke me. But I was the one who learned how to rebuild. Not everyone who holds your hand plans to stay. Some people come into your life to use you, not love you. Learn to see the difference, and never lose yourself trying to keep someone who was never yours to begin with. Protect your heart, but don't harden it. Let every betrayal teach you, not break you. Subscribe, like, and share for more stories. Thank you.